Welcome to your Barbados Today evening news update for Wednesday, February 6th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Immigration officers at the Grantley Adams International Airport, who will be affected by the introduction of chaos, have yet to be consulted. This was the charge today by Independent Senator Tony Moore in her contribution to debate in the Senate on the Immigration Amendment Bill 2019. The chaos are expected to decrease the waiting time for persons arriving in Barbados, while also freeing up immigration officers to do other duties.
I speak on behalf of the workers and their representatives that have not been engaged. And if I am misleading this House, as I'm clear it was going in that direction, and if nobody else was clear that the workers and the people who are going to be on the front line have not been engaged, that is what I am saying. And we want to make sure at all times that we don't treat to these matters as if they're afterthoughts, but that consultation, and a consultation not only meaning I tell you, no, we ain't got an opportunity to change. I tell you it is so, this is it. Because I have upheld my obligation to you by consulting after the fact and by not by allowing you the opportunity to direct the implementation.
Senator Moore, who's the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, said the process has left much uncertainty among workers.
It isn't in the introduction of chaos. There is a lot of uncertainty out there as regards what implications it has for workers. We in here might be very clear in our minds that it has none. But in the absence of the type of discussion that I was suggesting has not taken place, that is where a lot of misgivings occur. And we have to be careful, especially in a climate, and we're dealing with a government agency again, in a climate where there is extensive uncertainty, especially on account of retrenchment and so on that has taken place in a number of areas. When people look around them, we have to be careful the signals that we're sending. So all I was saying, again, I repeat, is not what we do, but it is how we do it.
Business at the Barbados Supreme Court complex is expected to resume on March 31. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Dale Marshall, made the disclosure in Parliament on Tuesday night. The White Park Road St. Michael complex shut its doors to the public back in April 2018 due to environmental issues. In an update on the status of the complex, the Attorney General said work at the court was at a very advanced stage.
The court is very far advanced. The White Park Road complex is very far advanced in its refurbishment process. And I am assured that our deadline for the delivery of the fully refurbished building to the registry will be the last day of February. And immediately thereafter, the court will be beginning the process of moving back down to White Park Road. I had a meeting with the registrar today, and I told her that I felt that we could do the moving process without having to close the courts for more than 1 or 2 days. I'm aware, sir, that it is being said that the courts are going to be closed for 2 weeks to facilitate moving. Sir, the judges don't have to move anything. Their legal assistants don't have to move anything. And I believe that court, yes, there's going to be a day when you have to stop what you're doing and move. That's a fact. But we don't need to shut any court for any 2 weeks or even a week to be able to accomplish this.
2 elderly women escaped injury earlier today when a tractor fell off a trailer and partially damaged their house at Dunscombe, St. Thomas. 78-year-old Lavadni Edwards Harris says she and her 97-year-old mother, Clarine, usually spends time in their living room watching television. However, she says they were not in that part of the house when the tractor came crashing in around 11 a.m.
How were you guys able to get out of the house?
Well, the young boys, the young fellas around here just know how to lift me out because they can't really walk. So young boys lift me out, and Yeah, I just hold my mother and when she don't step. Because the gentleman tell us to come up the house. Advise us to come up the house right now.
Member of Parliament for the area, Cynthia Ford, who was at the scene, expressed concern over the fact that this was the second time in the space of a year that such an accident had occurred in the area.
On July the 12th last year, a prominent church on this highway was destroyed by a tractor. To this day, there has been no upgrades, nothing has happened. People are still worshiping here, but the general structure is shaken in a way that it really has got some engineering problems. There's been no resolution of this property and the damage that has happened to this structure. Again, now today, an old woman in her late 90s who is a major focal point in the village, as well as a woman who is always active on her feet, still cooking and washing and so on, and her daughter who is disabled, have been shaken again, and this whole village is upset. These are narrow roads, and I believe that persons should be driving cautiously. Everybody's life is at stake, including who would have been the driver of the truck.
18-year-old Romario Antonio Roach, who is facing 3 murder charges, including one relating to the death of his mother, today asked Bridgetown Magistrate Christy Coffey Sargent to remand him to the psychiatric hospital. The request was denied, and the River Bay St. Lucie resident was instead remanded to HMP Dodds until March 6. The teenager was not required to plead to the indictable charge that he murdered 68-year-old Tyrone Austin of Freehill, Blackrock, St. Michael on December 18 last year. Roach is also charged with murdering his mother, 38-year-old Joanne Roach of River Bay, St. Lucie, and 68-year-old Dr. Sarah Sutrina of Wanstead Gardens, St. James. He will reappear in the Holtown Magistrates Court on February 28 in connection with those charges.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors, Guyana's main opposition, People's Progressive Party, on Tuesday staged protest calling for fresh general elections and regional elections, even as government made good on its promise to file an appeal against the High Court ruling on last month's no confidence motion. We get more in this report from Capital News.
The People's Progressive Party today brought out their supporters at GCOM headquarters to protest GCOM's preparedness for the upcoming general and regional elections. The party is holding now that following the passage of the no confidence motion, the general and regional elections must be held by March 19 this year, which is in keeping with the Constitution. Opposition leader Barry Jack Dio said this was just the beginning of things to come.
See you again. This is just the beginning. This was just to send a small signal to what is there to come in the future. And what is there to come in the future? If this government thinks that it's business as usual, clearly it is not. It is not, and we're not going to allow them to disrespect our Constitution and sit down idly by. They will see us ratchet up the action.
And finally, the last 4 years have been the warmest on record. That's according to the World Meteorological Organization. And according to a United Nations spokesperson, the data released by the organization confirm the urgency of addressing climate action.
The Secretary General notes that to make these transformations, we need to significantly increase the global level of climate action and ambition. The Secretary General's Climate Action Summit on 23 September of this year aims to mobilize political will to raise ambition to the achievement of the goals of the Paris Agreement and also demonstrate the transformative action in all areas where it is needed.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.